Less than a year after it was first announced, Piranha Bytes' newest RPG, Elex II, is finally here. This German developer is well known for the Risen and Gothic series, with some of these titles being met with critical acclaim. However, their titles are often labelled as Eurojank, which is a slang classification that describes overly ambitious European games that lack the polish of AAA titles. Elex I, released in 2017, was a prime example of this. It was full of bugs, glitches, and jank and received pretty average critical reception. Despite this, it has quite the cult following, with fans praising its world building and quests. It seems that Piranha Bytes took this to heart, as many of the issues that plagued the original Elex has been ironed out. While certainly not perfect, I was surprised how much I enjoyed Elex II. I found it extremely difficult to put down. It was a case of one more quest, just one more quest, until there were only a few hours until I had to wake up for work. So, what makes Elex II so good, and where does it fall short? Hopefully this review will answer all of your questions. Before we get into it, a review code for this game was provided by the publishers, and all footage that you see is taken from the PS5 version of the game. Also, if you liked this review, it would help me out a lot if you hit liked and subbed for more RPG content. Alright, let's go. I'll start by addressing the main concern that you probably have: the bugs, the glitches, the jank. Is Elex II playable, or does it break down more than a 2-year-old iPhone? I was very surprised at how clean and polished the Elex II experience actually was, especially since I played an early copy of the game prior to any patches. Let's be realistic. Being an open world game that isn't from Nintendo, you can expect some issues. Elex II does have some issues, but for the most part, it was a positive ride. To give you a better idea of my experience, I'll list the main issues that I encountered through my 50+ hour journey. To start with, the opening cinematics look amazing, but they don't seem optimized correctly with a glitchy output. Not the best first impression for the game. The lighting, shadows, and textures in certain locations are a bit inconsistent and flicker around randomly. The game crashed for me twice, I witnessed one floating enemy, and I got stuck in the landscape once. Performance-wise, there were 2 instances with massive slowdown, and several times when the frame rate dropped a little in battle, but honestly, the game ran well 99% of the time. Just keep in mind that I played it on PS5. I have no idea how the game runs on other systems, so you may want to look into that if you're worried about it. So, there were a few glitches and the occasional slowdown, but I did not encounter any game-breaking or quest-related bugs, which was the main thing. Elex II takes place after the events of the original game. In the past, a meteor hit the planet of Megaland, bringing an end to the old world. With it came a substance known as Elex, which possesses supernatural properties. The 5 different factions of the world all have their different views of how Elex should be used, and this is one of the reasons that they're in constant conflict with each other. Prior to the events of Elex II, the main protagonist Jack spent a lot of time trying to warn these factions that an alien race is going to invade. Turns out, he was right. At the start of the game, the Skyant fall from the sky and have a violent run-in with Jax, poisoning him in the process. This poison makes him speak gibberish and randomly black out, so finding a cure is pretty important to him. Despite the sudden appearance of the Skyant, the factions are still too busy worrying about each other to commit their resources to quelling this invasion before it gets out of control.
No way. I tried to warn people years ago. No one listened. Now we've got the total annihilation of the planet staring us in the face, and still, all anyone cares about is their own stupid shit.
This is where Jax comes in. At the start of the game, he forms a small alliance called the Sixth Power and sets up HQ at some rundown ruins known as the Bastion. On top of curing his poison, Jax's goal is to recruit powerful allies to his cause, gain the support of other factions, and put an end to the potentially catastrophic alien invasion. Elex II's story is really cool. Having a rundown base to call home and recruiting allies from all over the world, my inner Suikoden obsession is tingling. I only wish that you could visually upgrade the HQ. You can change the aesthetics of your house, but that's about it. There are some pretty awesome moments in Elex II, from epic battles to story reveals, but it's not all sugar and rainbows. Some of the late game story felt a little dragged out, and other key story moments didn't quite hit home as well as they could have. Oh, and occasionally the immersion is completely lost when your stupid companions decide to butt in for a chat. There is literally a war going on right now, but folk decided to stop me for a chat about becoming human. Read the room, dude, seriously. And if you're wondering, no, there isn't a complete requirement to have played the first game. Yes, there is a load of lore to learn and a heap of characters from the original, but the game did a great job in filling you in on what happened in the past. Speaking of lore, this is one of the strongest parts of Elex II. The 5 main factions, for instance, are very interesting, with each having their own beliefs, cultures, and place to call home. There's always something new to learn when conversing with others. I was genuinely interested in just about everything. And as you would expect from a Western RPG, choice plays a huge part in the plot. You need to make some pretty big decisions, mainly regarding which faction to align with. This was a really difficult decision for me, as they were all so interesting. FYI, I chose to work my way up the ranks of the Berserkers. While on your quest to strengthen the Bastion and the 6th Power, you'll meet loads of characters from all different walks of life. Conversing with these characters is always interesting. The dialogue and voice acting is top tier. Too bad about their faces though. Many characters look strange and most have stiff facial animations, but hey, you can't win them all. The unique, expansive faction headquarters is where most of the NPCs are located, so this is where most of the side quests can be found. It is so important for open world games to have interesting side quests, and Elex II ticks all the boxes here. Hours of my life were lost in an instant through questing, and I felt that the quality was up there with The Witcher 3 in terms of engagement. Some of the characters that you encounter can be recruited to fight for your cause, and each have their own distinct personalities, backstories, and a large set of quests. Jax's destruction level will also change based on the decisions he makes through the game, and certain characters will react to your decisions differently. I'll also point out that there is a lot of dialogue that goes on between Jax and his companions while exploring the world. I've always been a huge fan of this type of banter. Elex II is elite when it comes to the setting, the lore, the characters, the dialogue, and the voice acting. If these things are important to you, then Elex II should not be missed.
You live here?
Do I live here? What do you think? No, I just keep all my stuff here just for show, so some idiot passing by can take what he likes.
Elex II's expansive world and exploration is fantastic. The world of Magalan is beautiful with loads to discover and things to do. Searching high and low was always so worthwhile, as most loot is needed in some form or another. There are also loads of unique, powerful equipment hidden around the place, and finding these after searching an odd looking area on the map feels great. As you would expect, this world is also loaded with both human enemies and monsters. Some are complete pushovers, but others will kick your ass in an instant. Fortunately, there's a handy little icon near the enemies that are stronger than you, like this guy. I can see that he would kick my ass. See? Yes, you will die a lot, but fortunately quick save and quick load can be done in under a second, and the load times are super fast. Well, they were on the PS5 anyway. Now, one thing that sets Elex II apart from just about every other open world game is the way that you get around. You get to ride a freaking jetpack from the very start of the game. This makes vertical exploration an absolute breeze, as well as zooming around the map at high speeds. It is such a good feeling being able to fly straight up to your destination or over any obstacles in your path. Your jetpack can also be upgraded in various ways, but most importantly to last longer. Fuel only takes a few seconds to fully recharge, but managing it is an art. If you run out mid-air, you'll fall to your death, like I did about 1,000,000 times. Now that I've experienced the highs of jetpacking, regular mounts seen in other open world games just feel like a downgrade. Now, let's dig into the combat. The most basic method of dishing out damage is through melee attacking. There's a single trigger button that unleashes an attack, and if you hold it for longer, you'll unleash a heavy attack. There's also a button for dodge, kick, and block or parry depending on if you have a shield or not. You will have to think about all of your encounters and manage your stamina effectively, as it is very easy to die. Using your jetpack in battle is also really cool. When in the air, your stamina regenerates quickly, plus you can move around the area at high speeds or attack airborne enemies. While this melee combat works well enough, I still felt that it wasn't at the same level as the rest of the game. At times, it can feel a bit slow and clunky with little variation. Sometimes attacking seems unresponsive, with Jax lining up for a lengthy heavy attack when I only tapped the attack button once. I think the right attack trigger is just way too sensitive. I should call it Karen. This melee combat is fairly basic, but at least it's complemented by ranged attacks and magic. I didn't have a ranged build, so I rarely used this equipment, but it was cool that you could attack from the air while on your jetpack. Humanoid enemies attacking you at range is also way more dangerous than when they have melee weapons, even when you're right up close in their face. This really didn't make much sense. Dealing with ranged enemies up close should give you the advantage, but it really didn't. Once you join a faction, you'll gain access to a range of magic spells specific to that faction, and this adds a whole new way to play the game. The Berserkers, for instance, specialize in fire magic, and this then requires the management of mana. Whatever build you choose, you will need to get good at some point. I found the game constantly challenging and I really enjoyed this difficulty. Some of the missions towards the end of the game, however, require you to slay way too many enemies, and this becomes very tedious. Elex II could have done with less of these mass monster cull sorts of missions. Now, you could go out and save the world on your own, but where's the fun in that? You can choose one companion to fight alongside you, and in addition to having someone to chat with while exploring, they are very useful in battle. Not so much that they're good at dishing out damage, but because they act as a second target, which is extremely important when up against multiple enemies at once. And if you're wondering, no, you can't customize them at all, not their skills or their equipment, and this was a tad disappointing. Elex II's upgrade mechanics give you a lot to think about and complement the exploration very well. Progression is slow, but getting that upgrade you've been striving for or finally being able to equip that weapon you've had for a while is a great feeling. I mean, I found my endgame weapon by chance very early in the game, but didn't have the required stats to use it for a long time. But when I could finally equip it, boy oh boy, it's hammer time. Upon leveling up, you'll obtain 10 ability points which can be distributed among 5 main stats. While these only have a minor impact on your battle capabilities, they are required to unlock the many available skills and, like I said, the weapons that you can equip. There are loads of different skills to learn, from increasing your damage to learning new magic spells to being able to craft weapons or potions. And using these skill points cannot simply be done from the menu. You'll have to find specific teachers around the world and pay them a fee to teach you that skill. This works great, however, I will admit that it does make progression extra slow at the start of the game since you are always so strapped for cash. Even in the end game, I constantly needed more cash to buy better equipment and learn the most expensive skills. But I really did like this. This character progression balance and the mechanics felt really good and rewarding. Elex II may be an incredibly ambitious RPG developed in a European country, but to classify it as Eurojank could definitely be argued against. Elex II is huge, but it does hit home in just about every way. The world and its lore is top tier, and I always welcomed the opportunity to learn about Megaland's history, factions, and the Skyans threat. This goes hand in hand with the excellent characters and top quality side quests. Exploring this beautiful world was another highlight, but what made this so special is the inclusion of a jetpack. A freaking jetpack. Character progression also felt good. Getting stronger takes time, but this also makes it so rewarding and really incentivizes hunting high and low. With that said, Elex II could have been taken to the next level with a little bit more polish. I would by no means call it an unpolished game, but there is the odd thing here and there that could benefit from a bit of tweaking, like some slightly more responsive controls or not having your allies chat to you in the middle of a crisis, but I have no doubt that some of these issues will be patched in the future. The bottom line is, if you're after an excellent world to dive into with great side quests and exploration, Elex II is your guy. Are you excited for Elex II? What is your experience with the series or Piranha Bytes other games? Let me know in the comments below. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you like this, hit like and sub for more RPG content. See you next time.